Hello and welcome back everyone to our 9-month Ultimate World Cruise Adventure, and today we're touring the hustle and bustle city of Mumbai, India.
Welcome to Living Phase 2.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nancy, and we're empty nesters striving to live life to the fullest.
And we're living that full life aboard Royal Caribbean's 9-month Ultimate World Cruise on Serenade of the Seas.
Well, we sure are. And friends, today we are in Mumbai. It's our first day in Mumbai because we have an overnight here. And so we've got a private tour. We're going to see the highlights of Mumbai.
Yep. So we're going to go over several things. So if it's your first trip to Mumbai, and we do this a lot when we get to, and we've had a lot of firsts. So when we go to a place for the first time, quite often we'll find a private guide and say, just show us around, show us the highlights, kind of get us a overview of the city. And that's what we did here today. So we were with a couple of our friends. They actually found this guide, and we've really been looking forward to this, to seeing Mumbai, because I used to come to India on business, but I never made it to Mumbai. So it's going to be a fun
That's
day.
Right.
So, well, where'd we start, Nancy?
Well, the first place they took us to was one of the oldest synagogues, or one of the original synagogues here. And our guide was a wife, and her husband was with us on the bus, but he actually got off at the synagogue to do his prayers. But we got to tour inside, and it was very beautiful. But unfortunately, they didn't let us take pictures inside.
Yep. And it's really quite interesting. I think this gives a really good example. I think people think of India as, oh, it's all Hindu, or it's, 60% Hindu and 40% Muslim, or 30, I think it's 30-70. But it is a majority Hindu country, but they have all different faiths all throughout the country. They have, Catholicism, Protestant, they have, of course, Hindu, Muslim, and they do have a Jewish community here as well. And a lot of them are immigrants that have come in, maybe potentially, came in decades and decades ago, and have established those communities here. So that's what we keep seeing, is breaking assumptions and expectations, and seeing things that aren't always exactly how you think they are. So that was kind of interesting to see. Yeah, it was.
Well, from there, she took us to what was called the Black Horse statue, which she also called the heart of the city. And so we got to see that area, and there was a lot of hustle and bustle. And you had something lucky happen to you on your shoulder.
I did. We're standing there, and she's telling the story of the statue, how it was replaced because it used to have one of the British leaders on it, and they, but the Black Horse was so famous, and seeing different things, and I had a bird poop right on my shoulder. So here's a pro tip for travelers: don't touch it. Don't grab a cloth or a napkin and wipe it and all that. Let it dry. It may be a little gross. It may just take a few minutes and just let it dry, and then you can actually just brush it off. That's the best thing to do. So that's how you get rid of a little bit of bird poop, but it's considered lucky. So I guess I had a lucky day.
So we were ready to have a good day.
We were ready to. It started off just as it should. That's right, with a gift from the birds of Mumbai.
Yes. Well, next she took us to the Victoria Railway Station, which has kind of been known as an Instagram spot. It's really, the architecture is absolutely beautiful. And she told us that 2.4 million people go through that railway station daily, which is just, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and in fact, it's become such a famous spot for pictures. The city of Mumbai actually has built a platform in the middle of the intersection that faces Victoria Station on one side and the Mumbai Municipal Building behind it, which also has very beautiful architecture. Both of those buildings are really quite stunning and quite beautiful.
After the Victoria Railway Station, she drove us by India's richest man's home, which is called the Artilla Building, and his name is Mukesh Ambani. And this building is 27. His home is 27 stories high. It has a garage that holds 163 cars and a cinema that holds for 50 people. It's quite the home, and he owns the Reliance Corporation, which is a realtor.
Company. Tech company.
Excuse me, tech company. Yeah.
Yeah, and his wife owns the cricket team, the Mumbai cricket team, and she's even on a billboard across the street from their home. So we got a picture of that too. But quite the building.
The home. Yes. Well, the next area that she took us to was the largest open-air laundry in the world, the Dhobi Ghat. And what's fascinating about this is in previous days, they would do all of the laundry by hand in these big concrete basins that are in the ground. And when I say all the laundry, I mean 100,000 plus pieces of laundry are done daily by between 5,000 and 7,000 men who do all of this laundry. And when you look at the pictures, it's just fascinating when we're overlooking all of the laundry. And you think, how on earth are they going to keep this all straight? Because how do they keep from mixing up the laundry from one person to another? But they use a system of both colors and symbols that they make little marks on the laundry with these symbols, and every home or every family has an identifying symbol, so that way they get the correct laundry back to the correct family. And other interesting facts about all of this is they've been able to identify people who have passed away, like who is this person, by the symbols on the laundry, because it's identifying to them. And they've also been able to these Dhobi Ghat men who are going around and picking up the laundry, they get to know these families, and they know, is there domestic violence in the home, or is this family in need of food? And they will go back and they'll report to the proper authorities so that the people can receive the help that they need. So it's just fascinating.
Yeah, it was.
Well, the next place we went to was the Gandhi Memorial House. Now, this actually was a friend of Gandhi's, his home, but he had a room for Gandhi that Gandhi would stay in, sleep in, work in. So every time Gandhi visited his friend here in Mumbai, he would stay in this home, and we got to see the actual room where Gandhi was sleeping and working and all of that. And that it was just fascinating. I honestly didn't know much about Gandhi other than he was someone who was trying to promote peace, but he really did a lot, not just for India, but for the entire world. I thought was fascinating. And they had this beautiful diorama of Gandhi's life that went around, through the museum. And it was just incredible to watch, to see go through his life, really.
Yeah, I agree. I knew of Gandhi. I knew that he was for nonviolent protesting, and he was trying to get the British to relinquish control of India back to the Indian citizens, which of course did happen. Unfortunately, he was assassinated 1 year after that occurred. Yeah. But he also did much for Indian individuals in South Africa, and just learned about his life. He was a lawyer, and how he progressed through his life. And yeah, like you said, we got to see his walking stick and slippers and where he slept. And that diorama also, my understanding is it took a national trip all around India on a train so people could see it. Now it's permanently housed here at the Gandhi House. This was one of those that I was like, oh, okay, we'll go see about Gandhi. I really enjoyed this stuff. I did. I learned so much, and it was a very nice surprise. So this is a place that I'd highly recommend anybody visiting Mumbai go see.
Right, and anybody that wants to know more about Gandhi, there's thousands of books there about him that you could research through and read.
Yeah, in fact, his library was there.
Yes.
Of all the books he would read about, world and peace and religion and, everything.
All that.
Yeah. No, great stop.
Well, it's time for lunch now, and so our guide took us to what was called the Samrat restaurant. That was the name of the restaurant, and we had a traditional Indian meal that. The way it is you get almost like a tray set in front of you, and they will put the food kind of on just directly on this tray, or in little containers that they set on the tray. And you don't get a lot of food to begin with, but then as you like it and you finish it, then they keep filling it up over and over and over again. And the thing that they want to really a true meal to them explores all of the senses. So you have sweet and sour and salty and savory and bitter, and all of the different flavors need to be included in a meal for it to be a true Indian meal.
Well, a couple other things about the lunch. It was 100% vegetarian meal. Many people in India, they'll say, "Are you veg, non-veg?" And veg means no meat, obviously, but non-veg will mean they will eat chicken, potentially pork, but not beef. And in this case, this was a 100% vegetarian restaurant. The other thing is, again, traditionally in India, you eat with your hands, not with a spoon or chopsticks or anything. And in fact, the Indian people will say, much like you said, you have to have all the senses of taste. They want all the senses of your body involved, feeling the food. In fact, our guide said,
smell.
yeah, and I was familiar with this from my past trips to India. So I'm sitting there eating my hand. She goes, "Oh, you know what to do." And I was like, "Well, of course. This is how you eat." And by the way, it's only your right hand. You don't eat with your left hand.
Next, we did some traditional clothing shopping, which, okay, this was a fun stop for me. The ladies, even some of the men that are on our group, were talking about just how beautiful some of the Indian clothing is, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And
especially the women, they dress up,
they do.
And the clothing and styles of clothing they wear, I've always thought are very beautiful.
So pretty. And so she took us to just a local department store where they would shop at, and I did get a traditional outfit, which I absolutely love, and I think I could see myself wearing this back home in Michigan from time to time. And you're going to see me here a couple days later. We were at the Burj Khalifa and going to the tallest building in the world, and I wore it there, but I bought the pants and the long tunic and the scarf, and
I thought you were quite beautiful in it.
Thank
Yes.
you. I felt beautiful in it, so it was
And
nice.
these pictures are, and little spoiler alert, this is from the 154th floor on the open air observatory part where Nancy went out, and we got some pictures of her there. And so that you don't miss seeing that adventure up on the Burj Khalifa, be sure to, if this video was good, hit the like button, but be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so that you don't miss any of our 9-month Ultimate World Cruise adventure. But yes, I really like you in that outfit. I think it's somewhat subdued, but it really fits you well, and I think you look good in it.
It doesn't have all the sparkles that some of them do, but I thought it was very pretty. Anyway.
Yep, it's very Nancy.
Thank you.
Well, after that, we went next door just for a quick look. They had a Indian wedding designer, and this is one of the top wedding designers. That's all he does is design wedding clothing, or she actually designed wedding clothing, and it was just incredible. The Indian people will spend thousands and thousands of dollars on their weddings, and just the clothing, so we took a couple pictures in here and looked at some of them. I mean, just the clutch purse for the bride was like $400.
Because it was hand painted.
Everything.
It was hand painted.
Yes. All the little flowers, the touches were all hand painted, and no, that was some beautiful clothing, just absolutely gorgeous. And so we stopped in there and did that, and after we did that, we walked out. And we wanted to go to a traditional Indian market, so she took us over to a market. This was more like I expected Mumbai to be. Up till now, it really hasn't been that crowded.
Oh my gosh. It was really, really crowded. You were getting bumped on all sides. You could just hardly move. And she started out by taking us to a food market, and so as we're walking through there, I actually did get a very small jar of saffron. I think it was just a half a gram. I looked on Amazon, but it cost us $1, and on Amazon it was $10 for this little thing of saffron to take home. But that was nice. And as we continued walking through the food market, it then turned into a fabric market where people could buy meters. Where in the United States we'd buy fabric by the yard, but they buy it by the meter there. And some of their fabric, it was just beautiful, but some would have the neckline on the fabric, and then you'd buy as much as you want. The neckline would be at the top of the fabric, and then you would buy the yardage or the meters that you need for whatever dress that you're going to make.
Yeah, and they also had tailors there, so you could actually go pick, like if you're a man and wanted a shirt, you could pick out your material and then come back like one day later, and they'd have a shirt made for you, custom made, very affordable. Unfortunately, we weren't in Mumbai long enough to do any of that, but yeah, they'd make dresses, they'd make, there were seamstresses there that would do anything. That was fascinating.
It was tiring. It was tiring, and it was very noisy and very, very crowded and hot.
Very hot. I think the feels like temperature in Mumbai in Fahrenheit was around 108 that day.
Yes,
and then you're inside where there's no air movement in this market.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm glad I don't have to fight that kind of crowd when we're
at the
shopping
local
at
grocery
home.
store. Well, the other thing that I thought was interesting is how all the fruits and vegetables came in crates, was packed in straw, and then they were all just laid out for the local Mumbai residents to come in and buy, and this is where they would go to get their
Right.
their produce and everything. No, I again, it was very fascinating, and it is much more like I thought Mumbai was going to be, which was just shoulder to shoulder people. And so Mumbai seems to be a city that picks up later in the day. So when we're touring at 9-10 o'clock in the morning, it's not so bad. You're there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's a lot more busy.
It's true. And even in the streets of the market, the streets were absolutely just as crowded. And not only was it crowded with people, it was crowded with cars and scooters that were all trying to inch their way through the people as well. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, here we went back to the ship. They had brought on some folkloric dancers and musicians, and they were doing the musical Pakiza, which is an Indian movie from 1972, and they did that on the stage for us. So that was very special to see. It was nice to watch the dancers, and it was very special.
Yeah, it was a famous, Pakiza was a famous Bollywood movie, and in fact they used the audio recordings from the singer from 1972 as the audio, and then they would dance and recreate certain scenes from the movie. And yeah, I mean, it was very interesting, very
neat to
Bollywood.
see. Yes.
And they were a good production troupe, and the dancing and performing was really good. So yeah, that was interesting. Once again, Royal Caribbean brings on what they call folkloric shows from the different places that we stop. And fortunately, we got to see this one. Sometimes we're out and we don't always get to see it.
Right, sometimes we're still out on an excursion and we miss it.
Yeah, this one was good. Well, that wrapped up our first day in Mumbai, and tomorrow we have an adventure that I've been looking forward to. We're going to go to the Elefante Caves, which are a carved out caves here on an island off the coast of Mumbai. And no, it's not elephants, but it's the Elefante Cave. So be sure to tune in for that one. It's quite an adventure as we scale the stairs to get to the top in 100+ degree temperatures.
All right, friends, thank you for watching. We'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Bye
Bye-bye.
now.